Welcome back to another episode of the Unbroken Athletic Podcast. Here at Unbroken Athletic, we are committed to coaching beyond fitness. And part of that coaching beyond fitness starts with mindset. So in these podcasts, we discuss things that you can do in your life today that can help you on your way to being successful in the gym, in your life, and in your business. Back to episode 12 of the Unbroken Athletic Podcast. Sorry, switch sides. This is for short people. Shannon's on the tall side.
It's the same chair.
No, it's not. It's different. Look at your microphone. It's so much different. So we have a little bit of a different setup here. Hopefully this is a little better for us. And so episode 12, I think we're going to get into It's Your Workout. And that can cover so many different things. But so it's mostly just a gym episode, not a business episode. Cool.
Just about gym workouts.
Just about gym workouts. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, whatever. We'll see what rabbit hole that takes us down. So we're going to shoot for 20 minutes on this AMRAP, another gym reference, and go. Do you want to open it up?
Yeah, sure. So I think comparison, y'all probably heard this quote before, but comparison is the thief of all joy. And in the gym,
I was getting ready to say that.
You were. That's like a popular quote. But I want to dig into that and kind of like talk about what that actually means, because it takes forms in so many different ways. And if you're not careful, it can, number one, steal all the joy out of your own fitness or health and wellness journey. And number two, you could actually, your attitude and your behaviors and you letting that comparison kind of creep in can ruin other people's experience too, right? Like, we don't live in bubbles. We affect who we're around and what we. So in a class setting, for example, like our CrossFit classes, if there's somebody in that class that's always comparing, and we're not talking about competing. We had a really great episode about competing earlier. We're talking about comparing, which to me just means looking at somebody, and it really only leads to two things. Right? Comparison, the reason why it's the thief of all joy is because there's only two outcomes for comparison. Number one, I'm better than you. Feeds my ego.
On most days.
You've been feeding ego, so but if I'm always, that's my goal, like, hey, I'm gonna come so I can beat you, or I'm gonna come, let's not even talk about times and weights, let's talk about losing weight, right? Oh my gosh, she's only been here for a week, and or how about this? She's been here for 2 years. I'm better than you. This is what it sounds like. She's been here for 2 years. I've been here a week. I already lost 10 pounds. Like, I got this figured out. And just because, well, I'll dig into that later. Okay, so that's the one thing.
Focus.
Focus. My personality has a rough time with this, so I work hard to discipline focus. However, the other outcome is I'm not as good as you. You're better than me. Why even try? And that happens a lot more, I think, than the other way around. The ego part in here, we don't really have an issue in our culture anyway. I know in other gyms, depending on what kind of culture you have, the ego could be a problem. But for us, I think that this is the flip side of it, where it sounds like, oh, well, he always beats me, so why even try? I'm just going to finish this workout and, put my head down and whatever. I got a check mark for being here, but I really suck because I'm not as good as him. Or, gosh, she lost 10 pounds in her first week. I've been here for 2 years and haven't lost any. It must be because she's better than me. Why am I even trying? I'm going to quit. I'm going to go, eat whatever. What's the point? So that's kind of how it plays out. And both sides are bad. So that's kind of my take on comparison and why it doesn't make sense. Well, we can maybe talk about why it doesn't even make sense to compare yourself to anyone else. You want to take over on that? Or
Yeah, I just So to get kind of like back on track as far as like the whole idea of this podcast, it's not necessarily about comparison, although that is a product of it is your workout. I think that's one of the topics that kind of feed into kind of it is your workout. Because while you can compare about like weight loss and that weight loss journey, yes, it's a very big part of what we do, but it's not all of what we do. I think your athletic performance does increase when you decrease your um, body weight by increasing, not necessarily decreasing your body weight in a total, but decreasing body fat.
Right.
And that's kind of like when we talk about weight loss, it's not always what you look like. It's kind of or what the scale says. It's about that reduction of bad bad weight, right?
Body fat.
Body
That's
fat,
what we're talking about when
bad
we
weight, body fat.
lose weight. That's what it means.
So getting back kind of like, yeah, that's a piece of it. Like it is your workout or it is your journey, really, is what we should kind of talk about. It is your journey. So this
Mm-hmm.
way, we're just going to change the podcast right now. It's going to be, it's your journey. Okay. And
That's
so
good.
a part of that is weight loss. So we have the comparison in weight loss, we have the comparison in time. So, in CrossFit, everything that we do it kind of to a workout time. It's very competitive, to the point that it gets overly competitive for some people that
Are you talking about me? I'm
mm,
sitting right here.
maybe just a little. But no, not even that. Just like it gets to the point where people get overly competitive and they start to doubt themselves and doubt their workout and doubt their progress and doubt everything that they've done up until this point. Because it's so easy to forget where you started, especially in CrossFit, especially when the person that started with you has pull ups and you still don't have yours, or they have a faster run time and you guys started at the same time, or you started at the same kind of base strength. There's a lot of other things that go into play for that one person that you can't overlook, but it's so easy to go, I'm just not I'm not progressing as fast as I wanted to. I'm not doing this, that, or another thing. But you forget, like, when you started, you could barely do a push up, and now you can do 15. Or before you started, you got winded in a 2-minute workout, and now you can do a 20-minute workout and still have enough energy. And that is so, we take that so much for granted as our journey progresses that we often lose sight of those things because we're always kind of, well, I started when this person started and they can do this. Maybe they can't do 15 push-ups and you can. Maybe the grass isn't always greener, right?
Yeah. I think too, like keeping your eyes in your own lane.
It's hard to
It's
do.
wait, I know. I'm not saying it's easy. Man, I I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years and I still struggle with it. So it's definitely not, especially as somebody who is very competitive. You're very competitive too. And so remembering to always keep your eyes in your own lane and not be looking to the left or the right, especially during workouts. Because listen, you can't change, like, I can't change what you're going to do in this workout. When we go down and do our workout later today, I can't change what you are going to do in this workout. I can't control what you're going to do in this workout. I can't control what you ate. I can't control how you slept. I can't control any of that stuff. But I can control me and what I focus on. And so much of our workouts and what we do is mental. And so, like, I'm, and again, like, we have not arrived. Okay. So I like to always remind people of that you see us in the process and we're very open about that process. And we may be further down the road or further into the journey than you are, but you're going to understand this if you don't already. This is always about you. It's always about you. And it's always about your workout in that moment. And so, it's so mental in that moment. If I lose sight of what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm supposed to be focusing on, like I look to the left and there you are crushing wall balls unbroken. I'm like, dang it, see, you're, and then here's my internal dialogue. See, he's going faster than you. You're not going to win. You're you're lazy, you're slow, blah blah blah, whatever. So if I'm not conscious of that, it's going to take me down a rabbit hole, and I am going to slow down, because you need that mental toughness to push through the workout, push through the hard parts of the journey. And I think it helps to understand too that everybody that you see is struggling with something different. And if you knew their struggles, if you knew what they were going through, if you knew what if we all had to put like our problems up on this table, we were like, okay, here's all our problems. They were all out in the open, because everybody walks around with these, shiny smiles and nice clothes and everything's fine. Hi, great, whatever. If we all though put our problems up on this table, we're like, okay, guys, you can pick whatever ones you want. I guarantee you pick up your own. Like, we're not. I think that so many times though we forget, and we're like, oh, that person or whatever. But at this, you are not that person. You were created uniquely. Your journey in fitness is going to be no different than your journey in life. And just because you think something is right or wrong doesn't mean that that's the ultimate truth. So I feel like we need to give each other a little bit more grace. Number one. And then number two, stop trying to compare yourself to something that doesn't even make any sense. It would be like, you know, an eagle looking at a
Turkey.
turkey. No, I need not a bird. I need like a lion. Those are two, like, tough animals, because nobody wants to be a turkey. But if between an eagle and a lion, those are two
What
very
if it was like
cool
a
different
turkey and a
animals.
chicken?
Well, who
They're
wants to
both
be
birds.
either of those?
I don't know. I think you'd be a chicken.
What would you be, the turkey?
Yeah, they're bigger.
Okay, let's stick with my original. The eagle and the lion, those are both very cool, strong animals. But if the lion's looking at the turkey, or the turkey,
Eagle.
the eagle, like, oh man, I wish that I could go that fast in the air. I wish that I could fly. I wish that I could do this. I wish it doesn't even make any sense. Right? They're two completely different animals. And it's the same thing with people. Like, we are so different. We're all wired different. We have different personalities. We have different bodies. We have different movement patterns. We have different metabolisms. We have different minds on how we think. I just doing the research on the brain and how it actually works right now is totally fascinating with me. I'm reading a book that is talking about how people think in different patterns, and it's so fascinating, and nobody's brain is exactly the same. So if that's true, then why do I think that your workout and my workout should be the same? Or why should I even compare them? Why? Like, it doesn't even make any sense, is what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
mean, and that also comes back to like, and I want to touch on some other topic about how I think mental toughness or mental capacity toughness and stuff is finite, and you only get so much before you actually fall victim to it. Um, but I'll talk about that later. But kind of, I think because we're all given the same parameters, in a CrossFit workout, take Fran for example, just because it's easily to kind of comprehend, right?
Yeah.
So on paper, it's like, oh, this shouldn't be so hard, 21, 15, 9 thrusters and pull-ups. You look at that and you're like, oh, 95 pounds. Now, if you struggle with weight, 95 pounds to you might be, a little bit aggressive, but like, even if you reduce the weight, so say it's like 65 pounds or 75 pounds or whatever within your range, you think I should be able to do this. So the parameters are there. So everyone's parameters are there. The difference between somebody that has, now, I say, given the fact that most people, let's just take for example, okay, that we have two very similar athletes. Okay. The only thing different between the athletes is one has the what I call the blank out. If you've ever been in a workout or you've ever seen a CrossFit workout where somebody just doesn't look like they're all there, like they're just not home, like you see them and they're like, you're like, hey, are you there? And they're just, I call it the blank out. Um, which is somebody that's not paying attention to what else is going around. And then the other person who's so concerned about their performance? Are they moving correctly? Is this person getting too close to them? Are they sweating on each other? Like that person that's overly or hyper aware of their surroundings, I guarantee you it's a 5 to 10 minute difference
Mm.
if you give
I
them
think so
frame,
too.
given the same parameters. Okay. And that's kind of the idea of like, it is your journey, it is your workout, staying in your own lane, not paying attention to what you cannot control. And guaranteed, like, even what you think you can control, you cannot control. But knowing that you can control, like, your mental game, like, knowing that I just do this rep and then I got to do the next one and then I got to do the next one and then I got to do the next one and I got to remember to breathe and I got to remember to do this and I can remember that count. You'll have a substantial like gain in your athletic performance if you just kind of like what you said, stay in your own lane. Kind of this is your journey and you know, you should take full advantage of just kind of disengaging from that kind of over hyper awareness of things that are going around you that you can't.
Like the social media world.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not even that.
It is though, because then we're
During the
super
workout, you're
well
not
during the work.
thinking
Yeah.
you're not thinking about your Facebook status. I mean, during the workout, you're thinking about that person that's next to you. Now, knowing when somebody starts to creep into your lane, like surpass you, and you have the ability to push it, that's a different story.
That's competition.
But that's having that competitive edge. I mean, if you watch any of Rich Froning's prior CrossFit games, he stares at the big screen. I mean, he
Mm.
knows what's going on around him, and he gets out in front, and he's very good at figuring out people's paces. And so he's good at pacing people so that when they start to creep, he increases his output.
It's also a mental thing.
And it's also a mental thing.
He kind of plays on that, on people not staying in their own lane. So this is, I mean, I obviously don't know him and haven't talked to him, so I'm just putting thoughts from what I've observed. But it seems like, because I've done it before to work out to you. I learned it from him though by watching him work out. Is that he'll kind of go slow in the beginning, let people see where his pace is, even though he knows that's like 70%, but he's just pacing one step ahead. And then when they start getting close, he takes off
Because they've been 90 percenters.
because they've been 90% trying to keep up with him. So there's a good example of like, you don't know if he's at 90% or 60. You can't control it either, you know?
And
So
it's also like trying to like get in front of people and trying to count their reps so that you feel like you can rest. And I'll tell you, 99.8% of the time, you miscount.
yeah.
Or you assume that you're doing two more reps faster than they are, and they set the bar down and they're at the same rep range. And then you're like, okay, well, I know I'm 2 reps or 3 reps ahead of them. And they start picking up the bar. And then you're like, okay, 3 reps. Okay, now we're equal. When the whole time they stopped at the same time you stopped and they started going, now they're 3 reps ahead of you. And so then they finish with the bar. And the first thing in your mind is not, holy crap, they did the same rep range as me. It's, holy crap, they're cheating.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do those last reps. They totally didn't. And that just blows up
And
your
then you're,
workout.
yeah, then you're all angry. And
Then you're angry, then
let's
you're fighting yourself. And so,
let's talk about cheating, because I think that comes from here too.
yeah,
Like, if it's your journey and your fitness journey, your workout,
at
and
some point,
you're cheating.
somebody's going to notice. If it's not your coach, it's going to be your fellow workout enthusiasts,
Mm.
the people that are next to you. At some point, somebody's going to know. And then everybody knows,
But that comes down to too is
even in a
you,
competition.
yeah,
I mean, you're cheating yourself.
yeah. That's what it comes down to. That's what I wanted to hit on. Is that you're all you're getting good at is cheating your reps. You're not getting better at the workouts. You're not getting better because you are possibly doing it maybe not on purpose, but I feel like I feel like if it's a issue, then you're just getting better at avoiding that like pain cave. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is getting too hard, so instead I'm going to shave the reps so I can keep up.
But I did the work. At least I did some of the work, right?
But
So
it's
it should
not,
count.
but you're not getting the stimulus of doing the work hard through the hard stuff, which is what makes you better. Like, you want to build character, you can't go buy it, you can't go earn it, or you can't go like get it until you walk through the fire. Like, you are forged in character through trials. And there's character that comes from your fitness journey. I mean, this is a whole other podcast that maybe we could talk about, is fight or flight. That's something that's built into humans, that when things get tough, do you fight through it, and do you gain, where you're supposed, do you gain the character building and integrity and all that stuff through it, or do you look for the easy path? Do you look for the path of least resistance? It looks like, oh, I just don't want to lift heavy, or, oh, I'm going to scale this workout, oh, I'm going to, I did 10, so I'm just gonna,
I'm just not going to
I'm
do
not
the
gonna
other
take the other
two.
three. Like, I did 10. That's good enough. So you're taking the path of least resistance, and you're missing out on the most important part of training, which is to build that character, to build that, mental toughness, I
Okay.
think.
And then I think we'll just end it right there because we're right about 20 minutes. So our next podcast is going to be fight or flight, but we have a special one coming up in between that we're not going to talk about, but it's just special so that you guys have to like tune in next week. So key takeaways from this is, know that this is your path. Know that, the only one that's benefiting from this is, granted there's some residue from people that will be affected by your fitness journey that are just, kind of like the domino effect. But ultimately, most of this is your journey and it's going to benefit you. And that is why you do what you do. That is why you come to a fitness facility, whether it's Unbroken or another CrossFit gym or whatever it is that you do. There's a reason why you do it, right? So rather than trying to compare yourself and your journey and whether you did it RX or not, whether you did it at whatever weight, it doesn't matter. As long as you understand that it's your journey,
Yeah.
where you are.
Yeah. Just decide who you want to be and go be the best version of that. Like,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Decide what success in this journey means to you, and then go be the best you. Don't try to be other people, because you can't win being other people.
It's impossible.
Right?
There's only one you.
And you can't lose being you. You can't lose at something you were created to be.
Yeah. All right, guys. We will catch you next week on the Unbroken Athletic podcast. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Unbroken Athletic podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please give us a shout out on your social media by sharing, and also give us a rating and drop us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. We love to see your comments. And again, if you're ever in the Olmsted Falls area, feel free to stop on by and check us out.